Hey everyone, this is Joey Hernandez. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. When I was growing up and I was very young, I was the youngest of 5 children, and my mother over-mothered me. There was way too much attachment between my mother and myself. And I was babied. And I will even say that as I grew up, and I'm going to use this word because it empowers me, I was very much a sissy boy. And I own that word now. But when I was this younger kid, I was very much afraid of just about everything outside my house. I was afraid of the kids at school, and I was really picked on during recess and times like that. And so one of the things that I would do is the second that the school day was over, I would make a beeline through the woods and to my house so that I could sit there and relax and get into my TV shows that I loved so much, starting with Dark Shadows and then moving through the evening programs, shows like Bewitched and The Munsters and The Addams Family and Lost in Space. That was my life. That was my enjoyment. That was my escape. Once my father died, that's when I started going down into our basement and working out a little bit. What I mean by that is my brother had bought one of those really old home workout things where you have a very thin bar and some sand-filled plates that you put on it and a very shaky bench with the poles up to set the bar on. And it was very cheap. It was not a good set. It was a pain in the ass to strip the weights off and everything. But as a 13 and then 14-year-old, when I started playing around with those weights, it really felt right. I would come home, and one of the first things that I would do when I got home is I would put on my trusty baseball hat. And I have worn these kinds of hats all my life. I keep saying I'm going to stop wearing them, but there's so much a part of me that I find it difficult. I mean, I do go around without my hat. It's no big deal for me to not wear the hat, but I love wearing these hats. And when I was at the age where I was in about 8th grade, so the second year of junior high school, just before I went to high school, I was trying to find myself, trying to find my personality. And when I would come home from school, I would become almost a different person than I was when I was around kids and out at school. I'd throw on my baseball hat. I'd throw on kind of an athletic shirt like this kind of thing. I'd go down in my basement. I'd do, little bit of exercises and things like that. And I knew that all of that stepped outside that view of being a sissy. But I wasn't confident enough to ever go to school projecting that, wearing a baseball hat. I knew in my heart of hearts that I didn't want to be this sissy boy. I didn't feel that inside. I was just really afraid of kids and really afraid of bullying. And I was bullied quite a bit. By high school, I began to realize that I could start projecting who I felt I was inside. Now as an adult, if somebody comes up to me and says, hey, what do you think about the Red Sox? And I'll just say, hey, you know what, I'm sorry, I love wearing baseball hats, but I don't follow team sports. I'm more into individual sports. I watch the Olympics, I watch weightlifting, I watch wrestling. I watch things where opponents are directly against another opponent. Team sports never did it for me. And I feel safe saying that now. But when I was first making those steps out into socializing dressed like this, I still wouldn't go to school this way, but I would socialize. I'd go on my dates with my girlfriends dressed like this. I'd dress like this on the weekend to hang out with my friends. And it was part of me. You have to add some long hair because I kind of had David Cassidy kind of hair and baseball hat on top of that. And I utilized that fake it till you make it attitude because I didn't feel 100% comfortable projecting this image, yet I knew the image was somewhere inside of me. So I would make up my mind that I would, say, go to a party with my friends, and I was going to take on the persona that is within me. And even if I had to act almost like I was someone else, I would do that. I'd do it over and over until by the time I was in college, it was a very comfortable way to be. I truly started to feel that I was projecting who I wanted to be. I ended up having a lot of social problems after college. I became very afraid again. My parents were dead, I was young, and I just became afraid of everything in the world. Once I was outside my high school group, I'd gone to college, we got our distance, I was dating, I was hanging out with a different group of people. Going to parties used to scare the hell out of me because I didn't know how to project myself. And for a long time, a good 20 years, I had a lot of problems socializing. And once I finished dating girls and I started dating guys and I was in my mid-20s, that's really when the fake it till you make it, or acting as if, became a huge part of my life. If there was anything that I had to do that I was scared of doing, I would take on this different persona, the one that I really felt the most comfortable with. And I just became so afraid I wouldn't even go to parties for years. I would only go out to bars at night, I would drink, I'd get some courage going when I drank. I was able to really project this image of who I really am, and then that just led on to a bunch of other crap of sleeping with a lot of people, having sex, and I'll talk more about that in another video. But that acting as if I'm something that maybe I don't feel 100% inside of me that I'm at yet. As my life went along, I did this more and more until I began to feel, you know what? The person I project is the person that I feel I am. And I don't care anymore about what anybody thinks about that. I'll wear this hat now to the gym, and if somebody asks me something about baseball and the Red Sox, I'll just say right out, I'm sorry, I don't really follow team sports. And whatever their attitude, whatever their judgment of me, well, good for them. I know in my heart of who I am comfortable being, and I know I have a lot to offer to people as a friend, as a listener, as someone that is offering myself as genuine as I can do that and be that. And so I know a lot of guys have socialization problems. You've written to me, we've talked, we've corresponded about it. And I always say that one of the best methods to work through those socialization problems is to decide that maybe you're going to project something a little different than yourself that is scared, that's feeling inadequate, that you feel like you don't have anything to offer to people. Well, you do. Just the fact that you are scared and nervous and unsure, right there, that says something about your heart, that you are a kind, caring person. And doing this fake it till you make it while you attempt to get comfortable socializing, that can really help you. You're kind of making up who you are. It doesn't matter if you're trying to learn to socialize. It doesn't matter if you want to be an astronaut for a night. And oh yeah, I went up and I was on the moon. Didn't you see me up on the moon? Whatever. And by acting as somebody else, you begin to get the confidence of slowly bringing your own personality traits in, and therefore over time you are able to show your real self. It took me a long time. It took me several years of doing that fake it till you make it until I really became who I felt I was, and that I have something to offer to people. And now I love socialization. I love it. I love going out. I love meeting new people. My husband Paco sometimes is a little frustrated, I think, because if we go somewhere, anywhere, I will talk to people. You know, if somebody is at a museum and they're standing beside me and maybe they're looking at something and I can just tell maybe they might know a little bit more than me, I will say, hey, you know what, can you kind of explain that a little bit to me? Or at restaurants, I will immediately, try to engage with the waiter or waitress. Hey, I'm Joey and this is my husband Paco. We're so glad to be here with you. And I just put myself out there constantly. And the more you do it, the better at it you get. And so if you're fearful, if you're afraid of socialization, as we begin to get over COVID and the pandemic begins to lessen and we can socialize more, I really think that this technique is so important. It's so important. And I'm so glad that I left that little scared boy behind and that I'm now this confident adult. Thank you so much for listening to me. You may agree with me, you may not agree with me. Why don't you please leave a comment down below and tell me what you think of the fake it till you make it kind of way of socializing and getting yourself more comfortable. I'd be interested to hear your stories if you have done that. I will be back shortly with another video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Love all you guys. I appreciate you subscribing. Take care now. Bye.